She had the vision board, the affirmations, the crystals, the late-night journaling sessions pleading with the universe for a sign. She devoured every book, listened to every podcast, tried every technique, all in pursuit of a single elusive goal: alignment. And yet, each morning she awoke with a subtle ache, a low-level anxiety, a persistent whisper underlying every ritual. Why isn't this working? Why don't I feel it yet? Does this resonate? Perhaps not in the specifics, but in the essence, yes. Because we've all been ensnared by the same spiritual trap disguised as wisdom. Seek and ye shall find. But what if the very act of seeking is precisely what prevents us from finding it? What if the relentless search is the signal that informs the quantum field that the desired outcome is still absent, and the field, ever faithful to its nature, responds by mirroring that very absence? This is the hidden flaw in nearly every manifestation technique. It's the unspoken assumption that we are separate from what we desire, that it exists out there waiting to be acquired. But here's the truth, a truth seldom shared. The search itself creates the distance. It reinforces the feeling of lack, and in the quantum universe, what we reinforce, we receive. This isn't about presenting a new method for pursuing your dream life. It's about helping you remember that what you seek is already seeking you, because a shift exists, far more powerful than any ritual, a presence more magnetic than any affirmation. That shift? Stop searching. Become the observer. Take a deep breath and let that settle. You see, there's a reason why things start working when we finally cease trying, why surrender brings forth abundance, why letting go of the outcome results in its unexpected arrival. It's not luck. It's not divine procrastination. It's resonance. Because the moment we stop searching, we leave behind the vibrational frequency of lack. We become still, present, acutely aware. And it's in this state, the state of pure observation, that the quantum field begins to respond. The shift is subtle yet profound. We transition from the identity of the seeker, the one who lacks, to the identity of the observer, the one who knows. And this knowing, this inner alignment, is what transforms potential into tangible reality. But let's be honest, this isn't the typical approach to life. From the moment we're born, we're trained to chase, to achieve, to relentlessly strive. We look outside ourselves for love, success, peace, and even our spirituality often becomes another form of striving. We meditate to achieve calm. We journal to attract abundance. We visualize to manifest our future. But underlying all this effort is the silent, persistent belief: I don't have it yet. That's the unspoken message of the search. That's what the quantum field hears. So let's reframe our perspective. What if the truth isn't that we need to find anything, but that we need to observe differently? Because in the quantum world, attention is paramount. It's not passive, it's creative. Scientists have proven that the mere act of observation influences the behavior of particles. This isn't some esoteric metaphysical concept, it's demonstrable physics. It means our consciousness doesn't merely witness reality, it shapes it. So when we cease searching and begin observing, not with desperation, but with presence, we tap into the true power behind all transformation, awareness without attachment. This is the sacred posture of the observer. The observer doesn't grasp, the observer doesn't force, the observer witnesses and allows the wave of potential to collapse into a congruent experience. Consider this analogy. If searching is a clenched fist, observing is an open palm. And into which do you think the universe is more likely to place its gifts? We don't attract through effort, we attract through coherence, through the alignment between our inner state and the reality we choose to perceive. And perception begins with presence, with stillness, with stepping back, not relentlessly charging forward. This isn't passivity, it's mastery. Because to observe without rushing, grasping, or doubting requires strength, trust, and most importantly, a redefinition of our self-perception. The seeker is perpetually becoming, but the observer already is. Therefore, I invite you to pause for the next few minutes, not just physically, but vibrationally. Release the need to reach a destination. Abandon the narrative that your dream life lies somewhere out there and begin exploring the possibility that it's right here, veiled by a layer of misperception. In the next section, we'll examine the scientific evidence supporting this concept. We'll delve into how our observations literally alter the universe's behavior and how the act of searching pushes our desires further into the realm of probability, while observation brings them into tangible form. But for now, pause. Let this truth resonate. What you seek is already seeking you, and it sees you now. To fully grasp the power of becoming the observer, we must enter a realm most people never truly perceive, not because it's hidden, but because it's so subtle, so fundamental, that it often goes unnoticed. The quantum world, this invisible backdrop of our reality, where every possibility exists until something or someone chooses to observe. This isn't philosophy, it's physics. In the early 20th century, physicists stumbled upon a discovery that shattered our understanding of reality. They realized that at the subatomic level, particles don't behave like tiny billiard balls. They behave like waves of probability, existing not in a single location, but in many simultaneously. A particle, such as an electron, doesn't possess a fixed position. It exists in a state of potential, capable of being here, there, or nowhere at all. It exists as a cloud of possibilities, a smear of probability, until a remarkable event occurs. Observation. The moment observation takes place, the wave collapses into a particle. It becomes fixed, localized, real. This phenomenon is known as the observer effect, and it reveals a truth both mystifying and incredibly empowering. The very act of observing determines what becomes real. Let that sink in. Before observation, infinite potential. Upon observation, a single reality selected by the observer. Physicist Werner Heisenberg, a pioneer of quantum mechanics, articulated it succinctly: what we observe is not nature in itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. In other words, reality doesn't simply exist, awaiting discovery. It's actively shaped by our interaction with it and by our state of being when we observe. Now, let's translate this from the laboratory to your life. If the universe is composed of quantum particles, and those particles respond to observation, then our consciousness, our awareness, isn't merely a passive witness, it's a creative force. Every time we observe something with intention, focus, and expectation, we participate in the construction of that reality. This is why the role of the observer is sacred. But here's the crucial element most people overlook. The quality of our observation is critical. Are we observing from a place of lack, doubt, or neediness? Then our attention collapses a version of reality that reflects that very frequency. We don't simply observe something, we observe from a specific state, and the field responds accordingly. This is why searching often backfires. Because when searching, we're observing from a place of absence. We're looking for something we believe is missing, and our observation solidifies a reality where that thing remains absent. Not as punishment, but because our observation is filtered through our identity, and that identity broadcasts a message of lack. I don't have it yet. This is the message the field responds to. This is also where modern science begins to echo ancient wisdom. Quantum physicist John Wheeler, a close collaborator of Einstein, famously stated, "No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon." And mystics, long before the advent of quantum theory, described the world as illusion, Maya, shaped by the observer's mind. Neville Goddard eloquently put it, "You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are." Your vibrational, emotional, and neurological state determines what your observation selects. Think of your awareness as a quantum camera. Wherever you focus it, you capture a snapshot, not of what's objectively out there, but of what aligns with your internal settings. The lens of your identity, your beliefs, your assumptions. These are what focus the image. Thus, here's the pivotal shift. If you want to alter what manifests, you don't chase the outcome, you change the observer. Because when you change, your observation changes. And when your observation changes, the wave collapses into a new reality. One that was already present, awaiting your choice. The power lies not in looking harder, but in looking differently. In the next section, we'll explore why so many of us fall into the trap of searching and how this habitual pursuit of more keeps us vibrationally locked in a state of lack. We'll unpack the neuroscience of scarcity and how our brains, when wired for survival, filter out the very abundance that surrounds us. But for now, reflect on this. You are not separate from what you seek. You are interconnected with it. And it's not waiting for you to chase it. It's waiting for you to observe it differently, because the moment you do, it becomes real. It begins innocently enough. You desire to transform your life. You feel the pull of something greater, more love, purpose, alignment. So you begin searching. You seek the right tools, words, energy. You set intentions. You visualize. You affirm. But subtly, insidiously, something else creeps in. Tension, doubt, exhaustion, the feeling that no matter how much you do, you're always slightly behind where you want to be. And you wonder, why isn't it working? The answer isn't in the tools themselves, but in the frequency you carry while using them. Most people don't realize that searching, especially when fueled by anxiety or fear, emits a specific signal. It tells the quantum field, I don't have what I want. I'm not where I need to be. And that vibration becomes the instruction. That identity, the one who lacks, the one who's striving, is what the field reflects back. The quantum field doesn't respond to words, it responds to states, emotional, energetic, neurological. And when we engage in spiritual practices from a place of lack, those practices often intensify that lack, not because the practices are flawed, but because they're powered by scarcity. This is the frequency trap, the cycle of effort without elevation. From a neuroscience perspective, this is perfectly logical. The brain prioritizes safety over expansion. It's hardwired to scan for danger, to fixate on what's missing, and to perpetuate survival loops, particularly if those patterns have been reinforced over time. When we've experienced lack, trauma, or rejection, our nervous system encodes those memories as truth. So even when we declare, I am abundant, our bodies may be screaming, no, you're not. This internal contradiction creates incoherence, and incoherence blocks the signal. The universe doesn't hear our words, it senses our field. And if our field is fragmented, if our minds say yes but our bodies say no, the wave doesn't collapse. The potential doesn't materialize because there's no clear observer, no consistent frequency, only static. This is where spirituality intersects with embodiment. We aren't here to think our way into a new reality. We're here to become the vibrational match for it. And that means shifting from the identity of the seeker to the identity of the observer. But to do that, we must release the chase. This doesn't imply ceasing growth or becoming passive. It means ceasing to assume that what we desire is external. As long as we place our goal in the future, we disconnect from the power of the present moment. And the present moment is the only place the quantum field responds to. This is why people say, let go to receive. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the frequency of separation. It means no longer identifying as the one who lacks, but as the one who already is. Florence Scovel Shinn wisely observed, faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. That's the observer's posture. Faith not as hope but as alignment, not as waiting but as claiming. We don't affirm because we lack. We affirm because it's already true and our field is catching up. From a spiritual perspective, this is radical self-trust. It means trusting that the version of ourselves who possesses everything we desire already exists. It means understanding that our task isn't to chase that version, but to collapse into it through coherence. And coherence begins when we stop trying to get there and start feeling as if we're already there. So here's the energetic pattern we need to disrupt. I want something, so I must look for it. My searching proves I don't have it. Therefore, I vibrate at a frequency of lack while attempting to attract abundance. The escape from this loop is presence. It's the quiet decision to cease identifying as the one who searches and to begin embodying the one who sees. Because the observer doesn't look for something. The observer looks from something, from wholeness, from peace, from trust. The observer knows that what is needed will appear not through effort, but through resonance. That life isn't something to conquer, but something to harmonize with. And that attunement begins by altering our state, not our surroundings. In the next section, we'll provide tools to facilitate this shift. You'll learn how to step into the observer identity with clarity, how to rewire your field to rest in presence, and how to release the habit of lack, not through force, but through frequency. But first, let this truth settle. The more we search, the more we affirm separation. The more we observe, the more we collapse the timeline where it's already true. The difference isn't in the effort, it's in the frequency. There's a moment in every inner journey when we realize our greatest power isn't in changing our circumstances, but in changing how we relate to them. We stop reacting, we stop chasing, we stop trying to fix what was never broken. And in that stillness something emerges, a deeper presence, a silent intelligence, a version of ourselves that sees without needing to grasp. That version isn't a fantasy. It's not something we become someday. It's accessible right now, the moment we choose to embody the observer identity. So what is the observer? It's the part of us that exists before the story, before the doubt, before the craving. It's not reactive because it doesn't identify with the temporary. It sees thought, but isn't defined by thought. It feels emotion, but isn't controlled by it. It witnesses change, but remains unchanged. And in that posture of calm awareness, something miraculous happens. The quantum field begins to organize itself around us. Because when we become still, the universe moves. To embody the observer isn't to become passive or detached from life. It's to return to our original position, the one who selects timelines not through striving, but through state. This is where our true magnetic power resides, not in how much we do, but in who we are while we do it. Let's ground this. If you've been trapped in the cycle of searching, of trying to manifest through effort, fear, or desperation, it's not your fault. It's conditioning. Everything around you has trained you to seek external answers. From childhood, we're taught that satisfaction lies in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next rung on the ladder of success. So even when we awaken spiritually, we often carry the same survival patterns into our practices, chasing a better self, a higher vibration, a future we hope will finally feel like enough. But what if it's already enough? What if the goal was never to get there, but to see from here? This is the core of the observer identity. We stop asking, when will it come? And we start asking, from where within me does this arise? We're no longer performing for the field. We're resting in alignment, allowing the field to match our clarity. So how do we step into this state? It begins with presence, with breaking the spell of lack through stillness, with no longer defining ourselves by what's missing, but by what's already alive within us. This isn't imagination, it's attunement. When we shift from doing to being, we activate the part of ourselves that the quantum field instantly recognizes, the coherent observer. Let's anchor this with a brief, powerful practice. You don't need music, incense, or a perfect meditation cushion. You just need yourself and the willingness to stop looking and start seeing. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Let your body relax naturally. Place your awareness just behind your eyes, the seat of the silent observer. Not the thinker, not the doer, just the one who sees. Begin to notice the space between your thoughts. Don't chase silence, simply become aware of the awareness. Feel into the truth. Nothing is missing. You are here. You are whole. You are not waiting for anything. You are watching everything. Now repeat silently, I choose to observe from wholeness. Let that frequency settle. Don't try to feel anything. Just be the one who sees without needing. Open your eyes slowly. Remain in that presence. When you begin to live from this place, not occasionally but consistently, the outer world begins to soften. The urgency fades, the pressure dissolves, and what remains is clarity. Not because everything outside changed, but because the observer returned to its rightful place. You're no longer chasing the future. You're collapsing the future into the present through the stillness of your being. That's why this moment matters, because this isn't just a video, it's a shift, a line in the sand between who you were and who you're choosing to become. And that choice begins here with a declaration. Comment below, I choose to observe from wholeness. Let it be a signal to the field and to yourself that you're no longer vibrating from lack. You've remembered who you are, and from that place nothing is missing. Nothing is waiting, everything is unfolding. In the next section, we'll delve into the energetic consequences of this identity. You'll see how the observer doesn't merely witness reality, they reshape it. We'll explore the magnetic calm that attracts synchronicity, clarity, and flow, and why non-reactivity is the most powerful creative stance in the universe. But for now, remain here, because the observer is already home. There's a power that doesn't shout, doesn't chase, doesn't rush to prove, grasp, or control. It simply is, calm, certain, quietly radiant. And yet, this stillness draws more transformation, synchronicity, and fulfillment than 1,000 hours of effort ever could. This is the power of the observer, the energetic signature of someone who no longer asks, "When will it come?" because they're too busy being the version of themselves who already possesses it. This is what it means to become magnetic. Let's be clear, magnetism isn't about charisma, extroversion, attractiveness, or high energy. True magnetism is coherence. It's when our thoughts, emotions, and identity are no longer at war, and our field begins to emit a clear, harmonious signal into the quantum realm. That signal declares, "This is who I am, this is what I hold, this is what I'm available for." And the universe, precise and impersonal, responds accordingly. We don't pull things toward us with desire, we attract them through clarity. This is what Abraham Hicks meant when they said, "When you stop needing it to happen, it happens." Not because you gave up, but because you became aligned. You released the noise. You stopped sending conflicting signals to the field. And in that quiet clarity, space opened for manifestation. Think of your vibration as music. When we're anxious, needy, or overthinking, the melody becomes distorted. The rhythm is off. The universe can't harmonize with that. But when we enter the stillness of the observer, the music smooths out. It becomes beautiful, resonant, easy to echo, and reality begins to dance with us. This is the great secret of quantum manifestation. What we desire already exists, not in the future but in the field, and our job isn't to chase it, but to tune into it. When our energy becomes a match, manifestation becomes inevitable. It's not about effort, it's about frequency fidelity, holding the signal long enough for reality to catch up. Joe Dispenza calls this living as if. We don't wait for the thing to arrive to feel gratitude, peace, confidence. We generate those states now because they aren't emotions. They're codes, the passwords that unlock access to specific timelines. And timelines don't respond to what we want, they respond to what we are being. So let's connect the dots. When we reside in the observer identity, when we no longer react but respond with presence, our nervous system calms, our electromagnetic field stabilizes. Our brains and hearts enter coherence, and suddenly we're no longer a scattered signal. We become a beacon, and the field listens. We begin to notice something strange and beautiful. People shift around us. Conversations change. Ideas materialize. We stop chasing, and opportunities come to us. We stop proving, and people sense our authority. We stop searching, and life begins to reveal itself. Not because we got better, but because we got clearer. Our presence becomes the invitation. Our calm becomes the portal. And the things we once struggled to manifest begin to arrive with ease, not as rewards, but as reflections of who we've become. This is the antithesis of striving. It's spiritual gravity, and it can't be faked. We can't try to be calm while vibrating with desperation. The field detects the truth. That's why embodiment matters. Because once the observer identity becomes our default state, not just in our minds but in our bodies, the timeline aligns itself. So the question is no longer, how do I get what I want? The question becomes, can I remain coherent long enough to allow it to arrive? Can I stay grounded in the frequency of already? Can I hold the vibration of peace even while reality is catching up? Can I remain the observer when the old story tries to ensnare me again? Because if you can, you win. Not because you forced anything, but because you remembered. The field doesn't respond to force, it responds to certainty. And certainty doesn't come from knowing the outcome, it comes from knowing yourself. You are no longer here to convince the universe, you are here to match it. In the next and final section, we'll conclude this journey with a reminder of what has always been true. You are not the seeker, you are the answer. You are the observer who collapses possibility into form, not by chasing what's missing, but by seeing from wholeness. Because when you stop searching, you remember you were the signal all along. There comes a point in every seeker's journey when the questions begin to dissolve, not because they've all been answered, but because the need to ask disappears. The chasing softens, the proving fades, the striving dissipates like mist under the morning sun, and what remains is presence, a quiet, steady awareness that whispers, "It was always you." That moment is now. Because if you followed this far, not just with your ears, but with your heart, deep down you already feel it. That shift, that undeniable truth. Your power never resided in relentless striving, in endless hustle, in constantly doing more. It lived and lives in the very essence of who you are, the moment you ceased trying to become something you weren't. You were never lacking anything, never broken, never truly waiting. You were and always have been the observer, not the frantic painter frantically applying borrowed brushes to the canvas of your life, but the discerning viewer, the careful selector, the one who understands that reality doesn't yield to relentless pursuit. It transforms when you embrace a new identity, a fundamental shift in who you believe yourself to be. This new identity, this altered perception of self, reshapes the world around you, aligning with your vibrational frequency. Let's be clear, the peaceful you, the you who is deeply in love with life, the you who lives with purpose, abundance, and unwavering clarity, this version already exists. They aren't some distant future aspiration. They aren't a fantastical dream. They are a frequency, a resonant vibration already inherent within you. And when you finally stop searching, when you truly inhabit the quiet truth of I am, you begin to harmonize with that frequency. Not through striving to be better, but by surrendering into the present moment, accepting what already is. You don't need more to become more. You need less noise, less internal resistance, less frantic searching. The universe, the field of infinite potential, responds not to your desires, but to your deeply held belief in who you are. The observer knows, I don't need to become, I already am. This marks the end of the relentless chase, the beginning of true authentic power. And that's why this journey doesn't conclude here. This isn't merely another piece of content for passive consumption. It's a new paradigm to fully embody, a transformative lens through which to perceive everything you once believed, lay outside your grasp, everything you once considered unattainable. If you're ready to delve deeper, not just intellectually, but into the very fabric of your daily vibrational reality, we've created something specifically for you. A comprehensive guide, a portal of self-discovery, a quantum leap into a new understanding of your potential. In the pinned comment below, you'll find a link to my ebook, Awaken Your Quantum Power. It's a powerful frequency tool designed to help you solidify this transformative shift, unlock deeper levels of coherence within yourself, and live each day as the observer, not the perpetual seeker. The link is in the pinned comment because you don't require another strategy. You need to remember the fundamental truth that alters everything. What you've been tirelessly searching for is already within you, already a part of who you are. So take a deep, calming breath. Look around you with fresh, open eyes. Let go of the relentless pursuit and watch what begins to unfold. Not because you needed it, not because you willed it into existence, but because you finally aligned yourself with its inherent frequency. This is the vibrational reality we now inhabit. This is the community we're building together. If this message resonates deeply within your soul, you know what to do. Subscribe to amplify your frequency with us. Leave a comment, share your personal journey, speak your truth into the field. Because this isn't simply a video, it's a catalyst for a new timeline. And you, calm, clear, and utterly complete, are ready for it.